You have to say that. I've been told you have to say that whenever the camera comes on. So I did. Yep, it's subwed. So like subwed, it's kind of, I think who made that up? And it's kind of like a military acronym, like subcompact or whatever. And they usually use 2 or 3 letters of each word and then string them together. So subwed is now the official shortened version for Submarine Wednesday. And I'm going to be continuing to work on the control deck today. Be painting tiny little bits of things is what it's looking like. So I'll be unveiling that fairly soon. This, again, is the section I'm working on. The part underneath here has been completed except for the stairwells that go between these 2 decks. I have test fitted it into the submarine. It didn't fit, so I filed some stuff down and did some sanding and shaping and things and finally got it to fit pretty close to where it's supposed to be. And as you've heard before, this deck, if you can see it here, these 3 tubes here, are supposed to line up with these 3 periscopes and radio antenna, I think, and they don't. This deck, once it's installed, test fitted, is off by at least 1/10 of an inch. Okay, and that's not good because then these don't line up with that, and I can't do that. So at some point I need to add 1/10 of an inch here because it needs to move aft and take off 1/10 of an inch there, and then adjust this and those 2 pieces so that they fit properly. That is going to happen later, but I've got all of these little pieces here right now that I started painting last week, and I'm going to continue painting some of the detail this week, and we'll just see how far along we get. When those are mostly painted, and what I'm dealing with now are like the little dials and knobs and buttons and things on these control panels, and the wall of the bulkhead. As I continue with those, at some point there will be no choice but to try to refit all of these things into the hull of the submarine and get this deck to line up with that by fabricating an extension and by sanding and filing this down on this side. And I will keep saying that every Wednesday until it is actually accomplished. And once that's done, then this whole forward section of the submarine with all this little detail and stuff, and I'll show you some of it in a minute. That will be finished, and then I'll be working aft, and the next big section is to unveil. As you can see, these are actual vintage 1960s submarine instructions. The next bit is little, and there's 2 bulkheads with a lot of detail and different colors that have to be painted, and a gyro room which goes in there. It probably won't fit at all, so that'll, even though there's hardly any parts, it'll be a little bit of a challenge. So this doesn't look like much, but it'll probably take months. And then we move on to the missile deck, which is all exciting because it's got all these missile tubes in it and other control surfaces, and one of these actually has a little spring in it that's supposed to launch a little missile. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm continuing to plug away with the detail here. The other thing, this is really cool, is that these 3 tubes fit between this deck and that deck. Okay, between the bottom of the sail, or they call it a conning tower, but it's a sail. Between the bottom of that and this, these are supposed to line up with these, right? These, when you put this deck in the hull, these are all too long. And not only they are all too long, but they're all 3 different sizes, so that at some point, before I start cementing all of this into the floor, I will need to very carefully measure the distance between the bottom of these little hooks here and the top of that bottom of that deck, and then file them down to the proper height so that I can fit it in. Yeah, when I built this when I was in grade school, like 7th or 8th grade, I don't remember all of these issues happening then, but they are now, so we get to witness those. I'm going to set that up there because I don't really need it. I'm going to move the parts tray out of the way so that I can do the show flip. We have to do a flip all the time here for, because I just have to do a flip, right? That's the way it is. So let me just move this here. I'm going to flip this little piece of wood because I don't want something big banging into all of this. And I will very carefully mark one side of this with a green dot there, so that you can tell which side it flipped to. We have some shelves that were installed here. I mean, just set on the work surface or over here. You can't see them, but there's some shelves there that added like 2.5 square feet of surface area to the workbench. And it's still crowded. Anyway, here, we're going to flip this. See, I'm glad I did something little like that, because that would be bad if it landed there if it were heavy. That one did that side up. Whoa, okay. So we've got 2 not dots and 1 dot. And that's the flip du jour. Okay, parts. This is really something. These are the chairs, and to scale, they are tiny. So I painted those last Wednesday. That thing there is a sink. That little rectangle thing there is a sink that goes on a shelf in the boardroom instead of in the head or bathroom. Why that's the case, I don't know, but that's the way it is. One of these is not painted because that's an extra. That's why that is. And then this weird thing up here on the pedestal is where the periscope operator sits. So those tiny little chairs go into the floor eventually. And these are all the parts I'm working on now. Okay. Doesn't look like there's a lot of them, but there are, just a lot of different colors and details and things that need to be done. So one challenge, as usual, fortunately, I think this is the very last set of bunks in the entire submarine. And the painting of the white sheets on the bunks has always been a real challenge and has never gone well. I expect the same will happen today. This is supposed to be a set of batteries that is painted black, and it's done. This is a set of lockers and bookshelves, and if you can see, there's like books here. Those need to be highlighted with a pen. This is also like a set of bookshelves. All of those books need to be like made black and red. This little shelf where the sink goes at some point. And these control panels here, several of these, as you can see, have all sorts of little dials and junk on them, and paint some of I'm just going to do my best to paint them so that they look like something. Yeah, so the things I'll be working on today will be primarily the sheets on the bunks, And the walls of these walls of the bulkheads, and each one is a different color. Like this goes in like this, and this is the head, so this is painted the same color as the bathroom or the head, but the other side is a bunk room, so this all gets painted light blue. And of course there's more books there that I get to dink around with a tiny little pen. And then on this side, this is the bunk room, the wardroom that has the sink in it for a reason I don't understand. It's got a nice little hatch on it. But the other side here, with all of these to-dos on it, is part of the control room. And this is an important thing here. These are like the area where you control where the submarine goes in terms of diving and so on. So I have to figure out, this I know that's an air vent, so I've got a color for that, but I have to decide what color to paint some of these other things. So yeah, now it's just a lot of little detail painting is what it is, except for this. Yay. The underneath here is the bunk deck. That's what the bunks end up looking like when they're painted. And upside down here, since I just finished repainting the floor, is I'm pretty happy how this turned out. This is the mess deck. So you've got the galley back here and some storerooms and tables and a whole bunch of chairs and stuff. So this is pretty much done except for a stairwell that has to go from here to here. But I can't really install that until we start doing the deck above it because it has to align. And there's actually one underneath here also that comes up from the bunk deck and enters here. So that has to be aligned at some point too. Anyway, this is what stuff looks like when it's kind of finished. And you can still see them. There's indentations here. This is where all the stuff above got glued in, but this floor actually really shows through on the bottom when you look at it from the side when the submarine's done. And way over here is a piece that I need to paint. All the gray spots need to be painted green. It's in this so I don't mess up the detail, but I got the detail down, but now I need to paint all the area within it. So at some point I'll be working on that. Also underneath here are the two bulkheads for either side of the bunk and galley deck, but these just stay underneath this paper towel for now so that they don't get messed up. So I think I'm going to start. I think I will start with the part that I dislike the most, which is trying to paint the sheets on these bunks. And the reason for that is there's all these edges that are supposed to be neat and clean and precise between the white sheet and the brown frame. And even when you can reach them on the top here, they get a little wavy, and the ones on the bottom get even more wavy. So that usually takes a bit. Then what I'll probably do is I'm going to say that these knobs on this thing, okay, that those little protuberances are actually like warning lights, and they're supposed to be either green or red depending on whether something's working well or not. And they're like indicator lights, right? And there's just a lot of them all over the place. So I think I'm going to paint those. I'm going to make most of those green. I might just do one red somewhere, just, to do it. I'm not sure what else those things would be. And then there's some little dials and whatever. This is getting down to the little tiny little detail fiddly bits that are difficult for me to pull off really well. because of, you know, age and lack of skill. So I'll be plugging away on them. So, yeah, without further ado, let's be done with the adoing. Get out some brushes here. Here. This really fine tip point brush here that I might end up using sooner than later, and this one, which has a tiny little tip on it, and I guess I'm going to start by working on these bunks, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe start painting these bulkheads, getting the base color in around them. They have to be painted on both sides, so I'll probably do, you know, one side at a time. So this is painted the light blue, and this one goes like this beside on either side of these bunks. So maybe I'll paint, since these are both the same color, maybe I'll do those at the same, well, not at the same time, but sequentially, because they have the same color going on. Let's see. Yeah, camera. The camera's up at a nice place now to show you all of the parts, but it's not in a very good place when I start painting this tiny little thing here with this little brush. So maybe I will move it down a little bit, and we'll see if that works. But first, we must stir the paint. I'm hoping that those of you who live in the U.S. and had the day off, because I know some of you had to work, but the ones who had a day off enjoyed that. I'm hoping the ones who had to work, well, first of all, thank you for working, because I'm sure that all of the people who you know, came to your establishments and where you worked for them, restaurants and stores and healthcare and all sorts of places, I hope that you at least get a day off, if not on the 4th, soon. For most of today, what you're going to be seeing is the top of my head, as I am going to be wearing my head magnifiers almost the entire time, because everything I'm doing is tiny. Everything I'll be working on today is tiny. And so you'll be doing that, and my head will probably be in the way of most of what I'm painting. No, it doesn't. They're called head magnifiers, and it's a lie. Ends up being a lie, because my head doesn't ever get bigger. So the painting directions for this model, you know, and they say, if you paint this, because it's, you know, it's molded in official navy gray. I have 3 sets, and each set is a different color, a different shade of official navy gray. So apparently navy gray is a variable kind of thing. Yeah, so each one of these is a slightly different color, but the painting instructions, the only things that they say should be painted on this deck, okay, are the fire extinguishers, which are supposed to be red, and the bed sheets, which are white. And they don't have any instructions for any of the rest. So I'm using the box top as the color guide for this. And then I'm painting all the little detailed stuff, like the books on the bookshelves and the hatches and the dials and the buttons and things. Painting those or using a fine felt tip pen to do that. And that's, I don't know, that's probably why this is taking so long. It's getting the detail. Well, it's two reasons. It's taking a long time because I'm a very slow painter anyway, and when I'm doing these little detail things, I'm even slower. Okay. And the other is that the parts don't fit. And so I've been spending a good deal of time just manipulating parts to get them to fit. And this whole section here has just really been a challenge to get things to fit where they're supposed to. And as I said, this floor, which is off by 1/10 of an inch in terms of lining up with the floor above it. Yeah. So we'll see. We will end up seeing how that comes together. But eventually this will get done because things are getting done slowly, eventually. So let me put these on, try to get my eyes to focus. There it is, that's the bunk. And yeah, here's the white paint. And now I'm going to start putting white paint on where the sheets are supposed to be. And we'll just see how this goes. So with these on, nothing else is in focus. I can sort of read the chat screen if I look up. Highly sophisticated cardboard work surface here. Get the camera down a little closer. Okay, now I'm going to try to stay on camera. So every once in a while I'll look up to see if I am or not. If I'm not, then I'll move something. White paint. The other thing about this white paint is it doesn't cover very well. It's a little bit translucent. There, see, like I got it up too far on the edge already. See that flaw? I need to put a tiny touch of brown paint on that. Get these kind of white, and as you can see that it is an uneven, very uneven thing. I'd have to get the paint on there pretty thick for it to cover, and then becomes a problem in its own right. So I'm trying to get the edges right, and if I get the edges more or less right, then I can do a second coat. So there needs to be done. Here. What I usually end up doing is going back and forth with the white and the brown several times until reach a level of good enough. there. That's what it, other than the unevenness and the, like I said, second coat all of that and the little spots here and there where I need to put ground back. Yeah, that's how this works. Get to see this kind of thing going on here. Camera, that's good. Thing that's kind of weird is I've been doing this painting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from more or less 10 until more or less 2. Relaxing painting with dice and dungeons, is that it's starting to get like every one of these painting days feels like a Monday. Why that is. Holding everything steady sometimes is a challenge. Getting the lines even. But yeah, they're starting to feel like getting up on a Monday and having it. Yeah, these are, compared to some of the other ones that I've done, the other bunks, they're a little bit better so far. The paint kind of builds up on the brush there, so what I'm doing is just trying to get some of it off. The lower bunks are a little bit more of a challenge because when you reach back, you can't get to the back edge in the same fashion. The brush kind of goes in there, but you can't really see where the tip of the brush is. So sometimes the white doesn't go all the way to the back. Okay, the way you view it later, it's really not too much of a problem. You'll see that. It appears sooner than later. So I continue to spread white sheets, and these will take a second coat and sometimes maybe even a third. Not really sure. Part of it is just using this tiny brush, so it's not like you can take a big brush and, like I do with some of the floors and the bulkheads, is use a big brush and just spread the paint evenly across the surface. Can't do that here. One of the life lessons about this is if you just keep at it, eventually it gets done. After I do these bunks, I think I might do indicator lights. Those knobs on some of the panels that I have now declared are indicator lights. I don't know if they really are or not, but that's what they are going to be on this submarine. There's this piece of dirt or something there. It's what they're going to be. And so I'm going to be using a felt tip pen to make them mostly green because we want the submarine to not be in danger. This are most likely to get a flaw on the front, where the edge of the brush will catch the front of this. And that is something I'm not, that's mostly okay, because that's the easiest part to do touch up. Horizontal here. That other one, having some success with this, but I'm wondering if that other fine tip brush with the longer bristles would work better here. It's using that is really different than using this. Thinking I'm going to do is this is really good for like the front edge of the bunks. You know what I mean? The very front edge, but it's a little hard to get into the back of the bunk. So I'm going to try this. Just see if I keep the paint on the tip of it. A little more paint, so okay, close. To this thing, touch of brown paint there be necessary. Might use this one for the second coat. It seems to spread the paint a little more evenly because it holds a little bit more. Bad. But this little brush for the edge here. I think this is better for this. Gives me a little more control. Oh, the galley, which is the kitchen. Okay. You can see this paint does not flow real smoothly. So there's just, the sheets are rumpled. We'll just say that these are not passing the captain's inspection. The sheets are wrinkled. But there's not much I can do about this other than, make them white. so that you can see that they're sheets. Some of the unevenness isn't necessarily the texture, but just the fact that the paint isn't covering evenly. I was saying with the galley, the kitchen or the galley, a lot of that is white, and I needed to put 3 coats of this on before it was, it's even color. We'll see how this looks when the second and third coats, at least the second coat, is put on. Be a significant improvement with the second coat. There'll be little bits of brown touch-ups, so for now that needs to just set. There we go. Yeah, I'll put it this way you can kind of see how that's going. Okay, and that needs to dry before I put a second coat on. And then this white paint here, that'll just be wasted. That's just too much paint. It's got squeezed out that will be too dry to use. And what I need now, because I'm going to keep this here. This is some isopropyl alcohol. Too early for what stuff? Any stuff? Oh. Huh. I used like 40 minutes already, and all I've done is painted 6 sheets. I started on time, too. Yeah, this is moving very, very slowly, isn't it? Well, there's a little white paint up right along the base here. Not with this brush, that just happens. But that's just the way that is. So a little bitty brush gets put here. I'm going to be using this for the brown touch-up later. And I'll cap this up. Right. Have a drink of coffee. Okay, now what I'm going to attempt to do is, as I said, I'm claiming these are indicator lights. Is they are going to be all but 1 or maybe 2 are going to be green. And on the panel here, there are little control things. I'm just going to make those black using a felt tip pen, just so that you can see them. They'd probably, I don't know what else to do other than a lot of this submarine is impressionistic in that there's a huge amount of detail, but then sometimes the detail just gives the impression of something. So I've got this felt tip pen, which is not really fine pointed, but isn't working. Zinc on it. Just trying to get this to work. What I'm seeing here is a problem here, in that the paint underneath is not even. It's like there's a flaw in the paint. They make these green. Easier. So I'm looking at this to take a little bit of gray paint and go over that. Rather than trying to do gray paint around the bottoms of these little lights. And so I'm going to inspect the other ones that are done this gray color before I start doing detail. Paint isn't flawed. That one there is going to be red. Just want to get it on there evenly without leaving a brush mark. And there's another little spot down at the bottom here too. If I recall correctly, this is neutral gray. It's shaking. I painted these with a fairly large brush. These are these three pieces that are done in that gray color. Painted them with a fairly large brush because I wanted the paint to go on evenly. And I'm just seeing that there are places that it just didn't get covered well. And I'm hoping I can fix the flaws here without leaving a lot of brush marks or anything. Painted from which direction I painted, because the spots that are not covered are all on this side. That side to this side, and so that's where some of these spots are not covered. Here. Side of a box. And I painted this in the other direction because this The whole sides of these panels are not painted. Edges are supposed to not ever be seen, but you paint them anyway, just in case you can. But yeah, this is important to be doing this, just to because otherwise there'd be some real obvious flaws. The kind of thing that this is why the submarine takes forever. You know, this kind of stuff is going on. The thing I'm going to have to watch here is to not use too many colors and all these dials and things. Paint needs to dry. Mess with it again. This brush has a rogue bristle. One bristle that decided it didn't want to be part of the brush. Try to cut that off because I can't get it to go back. Okay, well, let's clean this. I'm gonna let these dry. Okay, the gray paint I touched up, but the little green dots, little green lights, they're starting to show. They show up there. Okay. I'd like it to be brighter green. If I used paint though, I just know that paint wouldn't work. So I'm just going to keep plugging away with the felt tip pen till they are where I want them. While I'm waiting for those to dry, what I can do is put a second coat, I think, on this. I think I can second coat the white and get that a little further along. Doing that. Several of these things are dials, like here and here, here. Here, here, here. These are something else, I'm not sure. I think I'll just paint those black. Oh, Damn it. Hey, I didn't rotate. You have to always rotate. Make sure you rotate your work in every direction. Because at the top of the control panel here. There's always something. Yeah. So anyway, this is taking a good deal of time because there's just so much little detail on it. And I haven't even started on the bookshelves yet. Those will take forever. As you can see, these little ridges along here are supposed to be the edges of books. And so each one of those gets a little touch of either black or red. Most of those will be black, but I'll probably do some in red. Yeah, white paint sheets. Put a tip jar anywhere. I mean, it's a self-service breakfast bar, but there's somebody cooking the food and setting it out on the bar. Okay, so there's people involved somewhere who are getting the food out there for you to pick up. So that's why they have a tip jar. Now, do the tips go to the people who actually are doing the work or not? That's a whole other question, isn't it? Or whether those tips are just end up going, to whoever goes by and reaches in and grabs some. That's the kind of thing that sometimes can happen too, isn't it? Yeah. Paint. Maybe not quite as much as last time. I'm going to use this brush. Yeah, I'm staying on camera. That's pretty good. I use this brush because it spreads it a little more evenly, and I'm not going to try to get all the way to the edges. What I'm trying to do is just get white paint spread. And anybody who's done painting knows there's another rogue bristle. Come on, join up with the others. When you're painting like this, sometimes you need to do like 3 coats of the color. Each one, you get random spots that are painted or not painted. And each coat covers different random spots. So eventually all the random spots are covered. Sometimes take 2, 3, at least 2. In this case, it looks like it's going to take 3 coats to get them looking kind of uniform in color. You can see here, even after 2, that there's just spots that just aren't, and I don't want to put it on too thick. So yeah, we'll need a third coat on the sheets. There's several colors that are like this. The yellows tend to be like this too. For some reason, white, yellow, and some of the reds even get the same issue of coverage. There's another coat coming. Wash this off, and I'm going to get the little brush, the other little extreme tiny brush, and do the edges because those need a second coat as well. And while I have that brush out, I'm going to paint what I will decide are the dials. Some of them are obviously dials, and some of them might be. Most of the issue here is up on the pillow side. Okay. It's a little bit more of the white showing. Two coats there will probably be enough. You want it to look pretty decent because this is the edge that is most visible when the whole thing is put together. Let this set before we put the third coat on. And then here we've got things that are dials. Edges. Kind of keeping the brush, horizontal so it paints up to, but not over the edge. That might be getting off camera, but not too bad. Excuse me. Those are all... There's this round thing here, but I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Actually, what that is that's a mold mark. It's just a flaw from the molding process. This one too. These have little raised detail on them, like they're supposed to be not dials, maybe indicator points and stuff. And I'm going to try the technique I used on the forward torpedo bulkhead to see if I can't get those. Most of these things, these are indicator lights, I'm going to say, the raised dots. And it's just kind of a thing that seems to keep popping up that way. There's some other little detail on here that some of it I'm just not sure what to do, if anything, with it. Just kind of decide along the way. It's a little spot that didn't get painted gray, right in the corner. That one little dial is not as round as I would like it. You can't, with the naked eye, at least my naked eye, at least without head magnifiers, I can't see it, but I can tell that. I'm just checking these again to see if there's anything else I want to paint white. There might be a couple of spots on here. Let's see. Just tiny little things there. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm wondering if this is dry enough to paint another coat on it. Doesn't look like it. Like that needs to wait. Let me get the green thing out again here. And we're going to go back to these dots. Get these as green as I can here. One red one, which will be red in a bit. But since I have this out, I'm going to do the other indicator lights. I'll do one red one on this one as well. Just to keep them on their toes, you know, I'm going to keep the crew alert. Got this one. Yeah, I'm getting careless there. Right at the end. Look at that. Right at the very end, the last couple. Hoping that doesn't bleed through the gray. That was most unfortunate. So we'll have to fix that. Now I see there's one more. Let's see if this paint is still wet. There's one more little thing that looks like a dial. To get the gray touch-up paint out and try to fix that. Yeah, I was just, you know, like near the end, and then I just got careless, and it, yeah, that was bad. So let's make some red ones. You got something stirring up the dog there. I'm not sure what this thing's all about. A dial too, maybe put one more dial on here. Got her going. One of the dogs is just running all over the house, barking at something. Okay, let this dry. Then, what can we do next? Maybe book ends, that kind of thing. I want to let that dry before I start touching it with the gray paint, because yeah, that. So I'm gonna try to get this black pen out, and if I can't finish this thing, it would be nice to finish a part. But right down here on the bottom are control surfaces. I'm gonna try to do those in a pen rather than with the brush. Okay, I think I have better control. Okay, so what we have here is we now have our second finished piece. The first finished piece was this, the battery, okay? And now we've got this, which is the control panel with indicator lights. Okay. Indicator lights, they're not as green as I would like them to be. Let me try again. I mean, you can see them, But this is where I just stop, because then I'll end up making a mess like I did on the other one. So here's the control panel there with control things and indicator lights that are indicating, oh, I know what I need to do. The problem is that the ink isn't, well, you're going to only see it straight on. You're not going to see it from the top down. But that's the problem, is that didn't. And so when you look at it from this other angle, you don't see any of the color. The way you'll be viewing it is head on like that. Okay, not top down. You won't be able to see the top because there's a deck above it. But that. We see where this goes on in the submarine. Yeah, it kind of goes, actually goes behind, it goes way back here. Spot where it doesn't fit anymore. I even shaved this. I shaved this down a lot. It's supposed to go right in this slot here. If I'm correct, it yeah, this thing goes behind these tubes, so you hardly even ever see it. There we go. That's where it goes. So you're going to be looking at it like that, and then one of these goes right in front of it. Lovely, huh? But that's how you're looking at it. And there's a gap, okay? It's a gap there because the slot, the thing that goes into the slot is too big. So it kind of fit until it was primed, and then now it doesn't fit. All part of the things don't fit issue with this model. I'm just taking care of this since this is the part that's in my hand. Might as well get it to work, right? Better? No. No, it fits a little better. So there's that. And it goes behind a tube. So you can barely see it. Yay. So there's a part that's done. Let's see. What we're doing here in terms of time. These guys need to be coded. I think I might just start doing some bookshelf stuff. There's a lot of those. I'll start on this one. And this is a lot like the ladders if you look at it. There's these ridges here and lockers, and I think those are supposed to be, I don't know, it's not clear if those are supposed to be books or not. Like here, it's obviously those are bookshelves, okay? It's just obvious, so I'm going to do the obvious ones. That will be red. See, when you do this, it becomes a little more obvious what it was intended to be. Okay. See, so it gives the impression of being a bookshelf. Okay, but these down here, I mean, way along the bottom, are just so uniform. They're not like these others. This is bookshelves up here. Well, I've got this out. The handles on the hatches are red. About these. Yeah, this is really poorly painted. I need to do that. That light gray again. So, forgot about this side, kind of. Yeah. When doing this little junk like this, you have to kind of pay more attention than that. Yeah, had as much. At least gives the impression of being books on a shelf, which is what I'm going for. So the stuff on the bottoms here, though, these uniform things, I'm not sure. I'm just going to do it all black because it's a raised detail. I don't know if it's supposed to be a grate or sliding doors. I'm not really sure what the intent is, but use the pen and mark the raised spots. Yeah, so at least you can see them. What's on the other side? These are just lockers, so that's okay. And this has got this on the bottom, so I'll do the same thing here. Just lockers. Yeah, I messed that up. Try to repaint that. The ink is just coming out faster now. It just looks really ragged. And the top isn't too bad, but then this got all ragged. So I'm going to let that dry and then repaint it. And we'll try again a little later. Let's see. I'm going to put a third coat of white on here, and there's some dials on this that need to be painted white. So I'll go ahead and do that. Yep, I need to repaint this gray. It's just really a mess here. And then at the same time, I'll do a little touch up on that where I need to do some touching up. But let me paint the white sheets here again. We'll do the third coat. I think the third coat they'll look okay then. And then we'll try to fix this shelving unit here that got just disasterated. Some of these turned out okay. So this is done. That looks okay. I mean, relatively speaking, so that's done. That needs to be painted the color of one of the background, one of the bulkheads, white. Is painting a third coat on the sheets, and this should make them look okay. And after this is on, there's tiny little bits of brown touch-up that need to be done around the edges. Some bristles just are not adhering to the point. They're just going off on their own. Let's see if I can squeeze them together there. Let me get a coherent point on here. There's a little hair. Okay, a little cat hair. Came in and visited here. Just little spots of light here and there that, where the brush slipped a little bit. Just need tiny dots of brown paint kind of scattered around in various places. So I'm going to just see if I can use this brush let's try the tip of this and try to get these dials. The rest of this, obviously I painted this, it must have been right near the end of the stream because it was very poorly done. Okay, so there's that. Get this brush clean again. And the just piling stuff up here. Okay, decide what to do next. I can't do the brown yet until that white dries. I'm a little hesitant to touch these up where I really made a mess of it. Let me find that paint again. I'm going to be using this color and this color and maybe a pen to be doing some of the detail on these control panels. It doesn't need too terribly much more stuff. I'm going to use the felt tip pen on the nail head to try to get the dials on these things. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get this little pen out again. And there's all these little things down on the surface here. And I'm just going to use this to highlight them so that you can see that they're there. Not entirely clear what they're there for. They do, but they should at least be seen. This is one way of making that happen. Yeah, I mean, there's all these little buttons and things, and who knows what they are. But at least when I do this, you can see them. Then I might just do the same thing with the stuff up here. That circle I'm going to paint, I'm not sure. I'm going to paint it a darker color so you can kind of see it. Looking at this edge on, so I kind of want these edges to be dark. This is safer than doing it with a brush. Okay, that one's going to be red for a reason. I don't know why. It's just just to have something that's a different color here. Important. Sometimes you just need a red box somewhere. Right, there we go. So other than the dials and this one circular thing, this one's pretty much done. I've got a little bit of gray touch up, just some spots here and there that need to be done. I think I'm capturing the detail fairly well here. Getting the corners. Okay. Well, there's a control panel with controls on it. You know, little buttons and things. You can see them. Do the dials. I want to paint that round thing one of the darker colors when I get that out. Let's see what I can do with this one. There's not much going on here other than the buttons and the dials. And I need to fix this down here at the end. I'm going to make these. These are going to be red because they're like you push those if you want something to stop, or maybe they're just warning lights or something. Protuberance there. And make that one of those green indicator lights. There's a couple things that I'm going to be painting a darker color to be kind of like that. Here. Let's see. I've got a lot of little light gray touch up. I'm not ready to do that yet. What have we got? Oh, it's noon. It's a good time for me to take a break because I can let this stuff dry. I've got to fix this. I have to repaint that and just start over with that because that just got out of control. That was supposed to be like some of the easiest things to do, and it just turned out awful. So I'm going to do that. These guys, they're not perfect, but I would say, you know, they look okay. Okay. But like there's a few pieces that are done. And when I get back, I'm going to continue to work on these control panels, touching up, working on this particular bulkhead, which is a mess. And then be painting some base colors on the bulkhead so that they match what the rooms are supposed to look like. So these are coming along okay. Next week, Wednesday, is, since these are coming along fairly well, and then I'll check to make sure that they still fit, that they still fit into where they're supposed to go. For example, that control panel didn't, because the bunks still go in here. Yeah, so the bunk still fits in the slot. Yay. Such a deal. You know, and these guys go in here. Showing you how this stuff fits, because why not? Why not take the opportunity to demonstrate how things go together eventually? So the bunks go on there. This goes here. Here. Okay. See how that works? And if these stand up straight, then you've got these bunks with these like bookcases and stuff on them. And this one goes. This one goes here, like that, kind of encapsulating the whole thing. And then for some reason, this guy right down there in that lower left bunk, way down at the bottom, has a sink there. Why a sink? Just have no clue. But there is a sink. Strikes me as being really bizarre. So the bunk gets touched up. These guys I'm not going to mess with anymore. This needs to be repainted. There's a bunch of little dials that I'm going to try to make show up. I'll show you that technique when we get back. It involves a specially prepared finishing nail and a felt tip pen with ink that doesn't dry too fast. So we'll see. It's worked in the past. Yeah, I need to take a break and come back, finish the bunks, repaint that, wait for that to dry, continue to work on these panels, and just little bits at a time until it's done. But so far, I think, you know, these look okay. Okay, I think they look okay. Now there's a circle there that doesn't have any dials or anything on it. So I'm not sure what that's about. I'm going to just paint that a different color, just so you can see it. Anyway, there's more parts, little parts that need to be painted. These need to be painted. And then I will be, once these are done, which could take the rest of the stream probably at the rate I'm going, maybe even longer, I need to then tackle this issue of the tubes don't fit, and so it goes here like that, it goes here like this. The tubes don't fit there, and when you look at them, you'll be looking at them from the side like that. You'll be looking at it this way. I need to deal with the fabrication of the extension and the reduction so that the tubes line up. And that might, I don't know, we'll see how that goes. But for now, I am going to take a break. I'll be back about 12:30-ish Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll see you then. So, I'm back more or less at 12:30. That's the first time that's happened in a long time. Well, what I'm going to be doing here now is just kind of dinking around with little colors and touching up and trying to make something work on these control panels. I'm going to let's do the brown touch up first. I would like to just have this done. Okay, that'd be nice to have one more piece done. Yeah, these are adequate. Adequate. That's what we go for, and that's what we got. So there's four little pieces finished, and then these are yet to be done. And then I need to, between now and next Wednesday, figure out, I'm trying to get this to work. There we go. Kind of. Yeah, that'll do. Between now and next Wednesday, try to figure out what to do about fitting these tubes. I'll just show these to you just so you can tell that I'm not kidding. These 3 tubes are supposed to all be alike. And you can see kind of the rather dramatic difference in height among the 3 of them. It's amazing, and even the shortest one is too long, so yeah, major modifications there, and other fabrication stuff. Anyway, there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be done to get this deck to work. And then I'll need to test fit all of it, get the staircases put into place. And I think I want to get this bulkhead done at the same time. This bulkhead is going to take a little bit of work, but it's a really important piece because this is what holds all of the rest of this in place, and it helps level the floors and everything else. And even though it says to attach this after all of this is done, I think I want this done. So this has got all these little circles that need to be filed off, including one above the desk there. Those need to come off. And then it needs to be primed and painted. And I'll triple check to make sure this is the one that goes there, but I'm pretty sure it is, because we got a table, and there's just a lot of diddling around of detail on this thing as well. Whatever. Just moving along. We're moving along here with the move along, getting things done with all the parts, and eventually this bulkhead will go in place, and everything forward of that will be done, and it will actually look really pretty cool. And it'll be then like starting on a totally different submarine kind of thing, because the issues with the missile launching deck and so on are very different than the ones on this area. So I'm going to put these back on, because everything I'm going to be doing now will require head magnification. Yeah. At some point, maybe even yet today, depending on how the rest of this goes, I might just start working on fixing this bulkhead. I'm going to digress. I want to make sure it's the right one. Yeah, that's the forward bulkhead. That really needs to be put into place kind of sooner than later. And I might even do the gyro deck. Sorry, let me show you what I'm talking about. Once all of this is actually in place, okay, that's the mess deck and everything. This is all the control junk I'm working on right now. Once all of that is in place, which will eventually happen, I think I'm going to get this painted and this painted so that all can go in all at once, because so much of that is dependent upon the location of everything else. But let's go back to this. I've got the brown paint out. You got my little brush. Let's finish the bunks. Get the bunks done. This mainly has to do with the application of tiny spots of paint. Which should be greatly assisted if we get these things to focus nicely. Why is that spot? The main thing we're hoping for here is that this paint dries with the same gloss level and color as the original coats, right? Exactly the same paint, should look exactly the same. That's the to be hoped for thing. I've been really surprised at how much I have had actually on camera today. Usually this is wandering all over the place. What is wandering is I can't get it very well focused. I'm in trouble.
Getting the focus right. I need to hold it closer. This is mainly going to be seen in this direction. You'll be looking at it from the side. What is that about? It's like a blob. I don't need blobs on my paintbrush. If I'm looking at it from the side here, I want to make sure that it looks adequate. There's weird little spots. Here, this is one of those so as these bunks have gone, this one's not too bad. I just went a little bit too high here. I really should have a tiny touch of white right there where I touched it with the brush, and just went up a little too high there. So maybe I'll come back and do a little bit of white touch up there later. This right now, I usually, this is really a mess, the top of this jar, but with all these little pieces here, I'm just not going to take the chance of, just don't want to take the chance of making a mess of it. Okay, I'm going to use this color next. This is a really dark kind of bluish gray color. And I'm just going to use it in a couple of spots. One spot is here. I've been using it for ventilation grates. It's been the color that I've been using for that. So I'm going to, you know, keep that convention kind of going. And that's this thing here. Use the other. I'm going to use a different brush for this. Yeah, I'm letting all these brushes, everything's just piling up here. But this holds a little more paint. I think it'll paint better. Some of these things are just too small to deal with. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this circle, which actually shouldn't even be here. It's a flaw in the mold. But it was in a place where I couldn't take it out. Okay. This needs to be painted something. And so this color will do. Just so you can see that it's there for a reason we don't understand. We've got a dark circle. We're there for a reason we don't understand. Okay? So there it is. And then this guy has two of them. I'm going to paint this one this color. I paint the other one just a different color green. I don't know why, just to do it. There's probably actually another one of those things that's more of a mold flaw than it is a feature. It's kind of gumming up. It's not spreading like I like it. The problem is at the very top here. Try it with the bristles clean. You know, this is a thing that you can't see unless you've got the head magnifiers on, right? So I'm dinking around with something that will essentially be invisible. I don't want to use it anymore and anywhere else. I wanted to do these pipes in this color. There's these. I'm just going to do that. I have to be painting up to them anyway when I do the bulkhead color. We might as well see them, okay? Might as well see that they're there. This submarine painting really kind of gets in the way of any kind of monologue about anything that's uninteresting like I usually have. It's just the nature of the beast that interferes with that. Bend over, look through these glasses. This is what's going to make painting the bulkheads really kind of challenging, is that I want the bulkheads, not show brush marks and stuff. But when you're painting around all this detail, you have to use a bitty brush with little bits of paint and hope that they level themselves out at least well enough so that they don't look too scabby when it's all done and put together. But that will be another day, because it looks like I'm spending a lot of time just doing this. And now we've got some really dark pipes. For better or worse, they're very obvious. What we got going on here? This color. This is the color of junction boxes and bookshelves and lockers. So what we're dealing with are the lockers. This got messed up. So messed up it's unusable. Okay. So I have to repaint that. And I hope that it doesn't bleed through too badly. I'm going to use a little larger brush for that. Where did it go? That's not it. Oh, everything's piled up here. Everything's piled up, making a mess. Getting in the way. The brush I want is missing. Huh, weird. How would that happen? Well, I'll have to use an alternative. So probably do for the little bit that I need. It's just here. See, just as I did the books on here, it just made a mess. It just became a horrible mess. What I was afraid of is this the ink dissolves. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to paint this like this. And see what it looks like when it dries. Maybe we'll just end up leaving it. It may be just be okay. I might just leave it the way it is. It's that's what it wants to be. Make sure this is thoroughly clean. I want to touch up here, and because I can't trust the brush right now, I'm just going to get a different brush that doesn't have black on it. Because what I'm doing is I'm touching up the top row of lockers. Okay, well, that's now a feature rather than a flaw. Okay, it is what it is, and that's what it will be. I don't like this. I don't like how that turned out. Not at all, really. So I'm gonna try something different with that after it dries. Let's see. I need to clean brushes pretty significantly here. I'll look at the bunks one more time. There was a spot where I think I wanted it to be white again, but I'm going to check to make sure. Yeah, right up there. There needs to be the tiniest little dot of white, and I hope that I don't end up just going back and forth fruitlessly trying to touch that up. Just need an infinitesimal dot of white, the tiniest little bit of fixing that flaw white spot. Right there. The bunks have now passed the adequacy test. They are adequate, so they're going there. That's where they are. Another one of those circles down there. I think I am going to paint that this color, to kind of match the other ones. That looks okay there and there. So I'm going to paint this one the same. This other one up here, I want to pick I want that to look like a radar scope or something weird like that. Circles, like I said, are not really supposed to even be here. They're like mold flaws in the molding process. What have I got? I've got this round thing here. I've got some boxes there. This is going to be like a safety box or something. And paint it dark red. And this one I might just leave the color it is. It's just there on the wall. You know, why is it there? Because why not? Why not be there? Why is there a little spot? Right where it'll be very obvious. Because you'll be looking at it from this direction. It doesn't seem to be painted. Okay, what I've got. I've got some dials to use my special nail head technique on. That's what I'm going to do. Got a bunch of light gray touch-up. I'm going to, especially here, but I'm going to save that until I finish these, because I might need to touch some things up on those. Okay. So I've got this dark green that's sort of semi-glossy. And I'm going to use it on this circle. I'm just going to say that this is like a special radar scope or something. That's the backstory. That's why this is going to be this dark green color. It's this big prominent circle that's here for some unknown reason. At least it only caught on the bottom there. Part just slipped in my hands. It's trying to push the paint horizontally right up to the edge of this raised circle. Flipping it, slopping it down onto the surface below. I kind of want to puddle it up inside so that it, like maybe it's glass, like a glass surface or something, and so it dries kind of evenly. I just basically want a puddle of paint on this thing. Yeah, I'm going to let that dry. We'll see how it turns out. I'll cap this alcohol up because I have to keep using it. This side. Oh, yeah, that's okay. It's just a door and fire extinguishers and stuff, so that's okay. This side is just giving me fists. There's just weird stuff on it, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. These pipes, that dark grayish blue, just, no, it is just not working. So I think I'm just going to paint them the same color, this neutral gray, so that they'll be, you know, they'll stand out against the bulkhead. But they aren't going to look like anything weird. Maybe, actually, I should just let them be the bulkhead color. I mean, they're just conduit pipes. They're raised surfaces, but they're not serving any purpose. Okay. I want that green paint to dry before I start messing with this too terribly much. So I'm going to paint the safety box here a red color. Red color. I think that will be okay for that. It's just there for no particular reason at all. Yeah, well, I'm spending most of the second part of this stream sniffling because it is like 1,000,000 degrees hot with 1,000% humidity outside. It's really vicious. Really unpleasant outside. But down here in my basement workshop, it is actually kind of chilly, and so I'm sitting here sniffling. Yay, sniffles. I mean, if you've got to have a box in a hallway for no reason, you might as well make it this nice deep red color. And it's got this little dot above it. I don't know what that's there for. I don't think I want to paint it or not. And this box is just going to be a box. It's just going to be primer colored because it's just what it's going to be. And there's all sorts of little bits of dots and dials and things. I might just I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this neutral gray color, and then I'm going to use the nail head technique on those. You can't really see them, and just catch the surface of them. Studying them, I'm trying to decide. Yeah, I think I'll do that. We'll play around with that a little bit. It's time to paint those. This whole bulkhead here, this bulkhead is an important part of the submarine. It's a big control area. You get special chairs and everything on it. But it's, I don't know, it's just not easy to paint. It's not intuitive. Yeah, this thing here is not drying very fast at all. So I'm gonna have to be careful getting around to it. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just see if this can work on this one, because if it does, then this one can be finished. Okay. So this is not like a sophisticated technique. I just made it up because I needed to get the dials, and I can't do it with painting. So I got this felt tip pen, and I used a different one, but the ink dried too fast. So if I put a little bit of ink on the end of that, it's a very flat surface, and if I push down onto a dial, it stamps it. It catches the raised surfaces without getting ink too terribly much into all the other spots. With some of the detail that was inside the dial. Without losing it. Okay. Same thing with these little tiny ones. Try the bigger ones and we'll see how that works. Not too terribly well. That went very badly. Getting down onto the inside. I don't know why it's going wrong. This has worked for me in the past, but it's not working on these. I don't know if it's the way it's raised up or issues. But I'm going to have to find a paint that doesn't melt as much. And I'm using the smallest nail head I have, too. This one seems to be a particular mess. That one's not too bad. Well, just play around with those a little bit later too. They're rounded. Came out okay. I'm going to do this carefully because that green is still this has worked as well as anything. Need to see if I can. What I may need to do with these others is, well, we'll see if this stuff dissolves in the paint or not. But these need to be redone, and I'll use this instead. This seems to work pretty well. Pinhead. Those need to be redone. So we'll see if the ink dissolves in the paint. And if it doesn't, that would be good. Otherwise, I'll have to try to get like a primer or something on there and do it that way. But this worked, and the other one didn't. So I've got some fixing up to do there. And I'll let that dry for a bit and see how that goes. Okay, so this one's pretty much done. I just need to paint the bulkhead on both sides. Those are two different colors. And that bulkhead is there. This bulkhead is not going well. This one I would say is done. The dials came out pretty well. I don't see any real flaws. There's a little spot there, but that's just dirt. So this guy is done enough. I'm going to put it there so that it's out of the way. I got a half hour. I'm going to try light gray touch up. I have a lot of touching up to do on this one just to make it kind of work. And then, it's just a mess. And then I'm going to touch up around that mess that I made with the ink on there. On those dials, to see if the stuff dissolves and the paint dissolves in this or not. I don't know. Use this color. Try going silent again as I get these things, kind of just something other than not good, right? These little square things that you can barely see. I'm going to paint it this color. Try to paint the bulkhead color up to them, and then use that head of the pin ink technique to catch the detail. But whenever, I'm not sure when I did this, it must have been like the last thing I did on the stream. This is just very badly done. I should learn that the last half hour of a stream should not be spent doing highly detailed work, because inevitably it seems that I just start losing focus or something, or coordination, and I start getting stuff like this, dropping pieces and Hmm. Well, there is that. At least it's the right color now. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one. And I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm hoping that I can get the paint on there. Dissolving the ink underneath it. Some chance I might have to put a second coat on. Just to make sure the color is uniform, but these dials, those just, whatever I was doing there, it totally failed to work. Turned into a disaster. Yeah, it looks like it's bleeding through a little bit, so that's going to have to be fixed, but that's some other time. Anyway, things are going okay, except for this control panel. It's just things happened that are going to require some significant repainting. Okay, almost forgot the flaws in the door here. They didn't get the paint down into all these little crevices in the hatchway. I obviously did this without the head magnifiers. Okay. Now, the dials that ended up being a mess need to be painted white again. There has been great progress. Let me show you the progress. Okay, are you ready for this? There are bunks. Look at that. Bunks that are painted. There are these 2 sets of lockers, complete with bookshelves. It's just lockers on the other side, but bookshelves. Pretty nice, huh? There is this control panel. that is covered with indicator lights. Okay. And then there is this control panel that I actually think came out very well. Okay, this one's pretty good. Came out nicely, the dials and everything. There is this set of bookcases that looks okay. And there is this control panel that has a fair number of disasters on it. Okay. When I tried to do the dials, it did not work. So, yeah, this is going to require some significant retouching. And then there's this one that has just proven itself to be a pain in the butt. Just a real pain to try to get to work at all. That needs some touching up. I'm going to do a little bit of white touch up here on these dials. I'm going to see if I can get that to be cleaned up. And it's gotten to the point now where I need to begin working on the refabrication of this deck. These tubes need to be cut down to the right size. Okay, because they're all three different sizes, none of which is correct. And this deck needs to have 1/10 of an inch added on this side and 1/10 of an inch taken away on this side. So I'm getting to just some major rebuilding of the submarine here. Okay, let's see what we can do with this white paint. We'll be using the pinhead technique on this after it dries. Not today, but another time. The nail head technique did not work on these dials. Pinhead technique next, and hopefully that will work okay. But it looks like they're salvageable. Black ink did bleed through, so I need to paint these control panel things again with another coat of that light neutral gray color. So this particular control panel needs some rehabilitation. we'll plug away at that. And see what we can do to make it look better. Next time on Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons. Not this time. Better before, but no, it's not. Anyway, we'll try the pinhead technique on that next time around. This looks salvageable. Okay, so let me get this cleaned up. We'll keep messing around with this control panel until it doesn't look awful. And in the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to start prep work on this bulkhead, because I need to have this bulkhead available before I can even do this next bit, because this holds it holds the decks in place. And the decks need to be in place, and they need to be very carefully positioned in order to get the measurements right. The way this pinhead is what I'll be using to try to salvage some of these things later. Yeah, these pieces are going to be set aside for future work. Okay. Especially this one. And I'm going to cap this up. Take this off because I won't be needing it right now. Put my glasses back on so that I can sort of see some things. And this, I'm going to cover these up. Try not to mess them up. No, before I do that, I need a file. Fingers at work. Okay, these needle files get used a lot. And let me show you then what the problem is that I'm fixing. There's lots of problems with this model, but this is a particularly common one. See all these circles? Those are not supposed to be there. I mean, that is not helpful. Like, there's a desk with a circle. Why is there a circle there? A mirror? I don't think so. Those are mold problems. Those are just mold failures. And they appear with great regularity. This one seems to have a huge number of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. Fortunately, in this case, they're raised, they're above the surface below them, which makes it easier to clean them off because I just have to file down. Like, I can go along the side here and just file down to the surface below. But they need to disappear. Otherwise, this whole bulkhead, which is going to be highly visible when the model's put together, will look really awful. So what I'm going to do then for the remaining 15 minutes of Relaxing Painting with Dice and Dungeons is talk a little bit about Dice and Dungeons and file circles away. Right? Pretty exciting stuff. So Dice and Dungeons started out over a year ago as a group of friends and relatives getting together to play a D&D campaign, and the Dungeons and Dragons campaign continues to this day and streams with a live chat on 3 Sundays a month, 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So you are strongly encouraged to check us out. Our D&D campaign is really a lot of fun. It's not just like a tabletop game. It is actually entertaining, if I say so myself. And I am saying it myself. I play one of the characters. I play Ulset Ralph, a Furbog fighter. I have some really nice, fine polishing paper here that I can use to get rid of some of the scratches that the file creates. And I'll do that when I can. Anyway, yeah, we have a lot of fun producing it, and you should have a lot of fun watching it. You can catch it live, like with a live chat. They're recorded ahead of time, but with a live chat on Sundays at 2. And it's in a world that was created by our dungeon mistress, Alexis. It is a very creative world. It is a lot of fun. Check it out. Seriously, you need to check it out. And since we were doing a D&D campaign and we were streaming it, we got a 3D printer. Now we've got a lot of them. There's 3 of them behind me, chittering away 3D printing things. We started printing instead of playing just on a 1x1 inch grid, which is how we started producing some dungeon tiles, some walls and pillars and little scatter stuff like barrels and tents and sleeping bags and stuff. So those things started to be created on a 3D printer, and we painted them because we wanted them to look good in the stream. And then someone, probably Alexis, the dungeon mistress, said, well, if we're going to be painting them, why don't we stream the painting? And it was like, why would we want to do that? And it says, well, why not? Why not? I mean, you're painting anyway. You get a little ring camera light kind of thing, and the light's good anyway, so that's a help. It doesn't hurt. It's sort of in the way of my face, but who cares about that? So relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons started out as just a stream of what we were doing anyway to prepare the dungeon tiles for our D&D game. Hey, the dog's yipping around again for reasons. There's always reasons, right? Said about something. I hope someone is watching and paying attention, because I'm not, because I'm down here doing this. So yeah, that's how this started. Submarine started, Wednesday started because I ran out of minifigs and dungeon tiles one time, because we do this Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 until 2, more or less, Eastern Daylight Time. I ran out of things to paint, and so I've got tons of models that I bought when I retired, because I thought when I was retired I wouldn't have time to, I wouldn't have anything to do and I'd be bored, and I was wrong about that because there's tons of stuff to do. Anyway, I said, well, why don't you just build one of those old models? So I did. The first one was a Big Daddy Roth Fink model, Fink Eliminator, that I had started years ago and never finished, and so I finished that. And I don't think people liked that stream very much because nobody was watching it, but you can go back and do it. It came out really well. It looks pretty cool. I mean, it does, even if I say so myself. But the next thing I did was this. I did this submarine when I was a kid in like 7th or 8th grade, and it was, well, and then I bought 3 of these models because I needed 3 of them to come up with enough pieces to make one of them. That turned out to actually be the case. mysteriously, because either they were started or they were poorly done, or the painting was a mess, or let's just say that everything was a mess. And it's been taking 3 of these models. I have 3 of them from the 1960s in order to make one. That's the one I'm working on. So Submarine Wednesday was born and continues, and is going to continue forever, because if you've been watching any of the Submarine Wednesdays, you've been seeing that it's a very slow process. Parts don't fit. I end up doing things like this, filing and sanding things down to get rid of mold problems. Not like moldy, but problems with the initial molds. Even here you can see there's an indentation in the locker. That's because the mold didn't fill with plastic completely. And so, yeah. So there's things like that. In fact, in the control room, there are a couple of pieces that I had to just use plastic putty to fill in, and 2 out of the 3 were totally unusable. It was kind of a miracle. I just went to the last box and said, "Oh, I hope this works," and found a piece that wasn't bad. It's kind of a pleasant surprise. But, as I've been saying, the whole deck itself doesn't fit. So it's not just like little details within one of the parts, it's just that the entire deck doesn't fit into the hull of the submarine in the right place. I'm getting rid of these mold flaws here, and then I'm going to prime this piece. And although this isn't until the next section, number 5, this doesn't go in until number 5. In order to get the pieces to fit correctly, they need to fit onto this. So this part needs to be prepared and pretty much installed at the same time. It's got all sorts of stuff on it too. It's got like dials and doors and lockers and tables and fire extinguishers. So it's got a lot of detailed painting to be done on it also, at least on that side. This side is the missile room side. This only has a hatchway, a ladder, and some fire extinguishers. So that's kind of nice. Finally, something that isn't, 3 weeks worth of painting just to get prepared. Yeah, I've got 2 more of these things. They're down near the bottom, which is good. Discovered I can kind of slide across and catch the raised area. There's 7 of these. These things have been the most annoying. These circles that are in places where there is no place for a circle, that are just there because of the mediocre manufacturing. So I'll file these off. Anyway, that's the story of Dice and Dungeons, and on Mondays and Fridays, I continue to work on dungeon tiles and minifigs. I've been working on Dragonkin. There are 6 of them. I have 4 of them completed. I got to Monday. There was an abbreviated version of this stream because, the day before the holiday, and I was lazy and all of that. And I got to fabricate replacement swords and sword hilts, sword blades and sword hilts, because in one case it just didn't come out in the printing process, the rosin printer, but another one I just broke them, just for no particular reason. I was careless. I knocked it over, broke off the sword and the hilt, Anyway, I got to, that's why the session was labeled Whittling Toothpicks, as I whittled, basically sanded and filed replacement blades and hilts. So this ends up looking a little bit scuzzy because of the scratches on the surface, which discolors the plastic. But after it's primed, you can't really tell that much. You can't. It's primed and then it's painted. So it pretty much just disappears, and you get a flat surface instead of little raised circles everywhere. Anyway, this bulkhead is important, and that's why I'm doing it out of sequence, because it's a necessary alignment feature for the decks that I'm working on. The decks set in here and here. And I will probably, as I said, get all of the pieces for the gyro deck, which is the next step, and finish and prime those and paint them before I actually assemble all of this. Okay, so let me polish these just a little bit, and then I'm going to wrap up. This doesn't end the discoloration, but what it does is it gets rid of some of the file marks. This is very fine finishing emery cloth, and so it just makes it look a little bit more finished and smooth when it actually gets painted. You know, some of the flaws end up showing, but that is what it is because of the nature of this thing. This is the part that's going to be on the outside. You'll be seeing this table and these doors and these lockers. Those will be prominent, and the fire extinguishers. In the background will be this control panel with more dials on it. Okay, so on Friday I'm going to be working on Dragonkin again. I have 2 to go. I will hopefully get one of them mostly done. That's about all I can get done in the time I have, because I am quite slow at this. Yes, so I'll be working on Dragonkin on Friday, and then next week, Wednesday, in case those of you who are, following the saga of the submarine very carefully and closely, I will be doing more painting. I have 5 pieces finished, not counting the tiny little chairs. Let me unveil this again and show them to you. I'm going to move the camera. Okay, so I have a bunk, the batteries, which were not difficult, it's just black, a control panel, 2 bookcase locker units, and this control panel done. This came out really well. I really like that. That's good. These pieces are nearly done. I need to paint the bulkheads to match the room colors. Okay. This control panel has been a challenge and a mess. It's a little bit better. It needs some touching up. With the gray and the black and stuff, it looks better than I feared. This particular bulkhead continues to be a real nuisance, but it's getting close to that. So most of what I'll be doing next Wednesday is painting bulkheads, room colors, painting both sides of the bulkheads, room colors, and then since I will have this what did I put it? This big chunk of thing that I've just been sanding. I'm going to have that primed, and I'm going to start. I'm not going to really necessarily have to start painting that because I've got a lot of fabricating work to do on the deck and these. So I might start painting it because it has to be painted eventually anyway, and it'd be more interesting to watch me paint that than to be doing some sort of fabrication. It's in my hand. I'm looking for this. I was looking for this. This goes here, okay? And the deck that I did before, the one that includes the mess deck and everything, goes underneath here. It's got lockers and stuff. And then there's a gyro deck under here. So I'm going to be priming this because I need this. Let me go look at that here. I need this, which fits that, and the deck below it. Okay. I need that in the hull of the submarine so that I can measure the heights of these tubes that need to match up with the periscopes above. And then once I get that done, once I get this fixed, because there's a 1/10 of an inch too short, 1/10 of an inch too short on this side and a 1/10 of an inch too long on this side, then I can paint this and get the parts on and put this in and get the gyro deck in, and in a couple of weeks, if all goes well, if in fact things go well, which hasn't happened yet, I should be able to have the first third of the submarine actually completed. That will be an amazing feat if it actually ever happens. So yeah, that was Relaxing Painting with Dyson Dungeons Subwed. Okay, I did in fact finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and they look okay. This especially, they came out B minus, B, solid B. This one came out a solid A, and the bunks came out a solid B plus. Okay, so I need to fix this. I need to figure out what to do with this. Get the bulkheads painted the colors of the rooms that they're in. That's a little tricky because there's all this little detail I need to work around. And start painting the detail on this one, the desk and, the lockers, fire extinguishers. Get those painted in, and then paint these 3 different colors, actually. This is dark gray. This 4. This is dark gray underneath. The gyro room is green. This is light blue. And this is green. So there's only 3 colors, but 2 of them are repeated. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. I will be back on Friday, more or less at 10, painting minifigs that you will recognize as Dragonkin in the Dyson Dungeons world that we're playing in. Thanks for being followers. Thanks for being subscribers. And there's always patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons. And you can become a patron. And I'm really done. I am done for today. See you on Friday. Have a good week. See you then.